Hello viewers, welcome to Kboxtv. It's your boy Kofi Baisie Jnr. and we are live on Kboxtv Live. Today we get to talk to a two-time trainer, a two-time world champion maker. He's the father of Shawn Porter. Today we get to talk to him. He will let us know a lot of about his son, something that we didn't know, especially from us in Africa. We'll talk to him about it, and then he will also let us know and get to know more about Shawn Porter. Also, about himself, Mr. Kenny Porter. So, guys, without much ado, I'm going to bring on the show Kenny Porter.
Hey, guys.
Hi. Thank you for coming on Kboxtv, Kenny.
Thank you for having me.
All right, we're really grateful for your time. First of all, one big question many Africans are asking, or were asking, or telling me to ask you when I told them that you'll be on the show was that, I mean, how did you get your boy Shawn Porter into boxing?
How did I get him?
How did you get him into boxing?
How did I get him into boxing?
Yeah.
Well, I was a boxer myself. I was an amateur boxer. And I was always, at the gym. So that's Larry. When my boys got up to some size, it was just a natural thing for me to do, to take them to the gym with me. Right. So I took Shawn and also his older brother Kenny to the gym, and Shawn was like 4 years old when I first took him to the gym.
So, I mean, getting Shawn.
Yeah, laundry. Thanks.
Can you hear me, sir?
Can you repeat that?
I was saying that, I mean, when you got him into the sport, or when he finally decided to box, how were you able to groom him to be able to become a world champion?
That was never my intent. That was never my intent for him to even become a professional boxer, let alone a world champion. My intent was to introduce my sons to different sports and introduce them to better education than I had. So other things like music and art, all of those things were a part of life and raising them up. And sports like basketball, football, track and field, of course, boxing, those were everyday activities for me as I was growing up. So they became everyday activities for my boys as well. And then other things like music, and also, really pushing for them to go to schools that would help them to get a higher education when they were done with high school, to be able to be prepared for college. So that was my game plan, or so to speak, that was my end goal, in comparison to somebody else who was maybe thinking about their son becoming a professional boxer.
I mean, there's this other I read about you that I always commend you for. I wish some of our parents back here and even also over there in the States are like the way they are committed to making sure that their kids go to school, even though regardless of whatever they choose to do, that they enforce or make sure that their kids go to school. I mean, to every viewer out there who will be able to watch this tape, especially the parents or people who have kids, what would you want to tell them, especially about education?
Well, first of all, it's very unfortunate with the social media age that people look at so many things that they see every day, from Instagram to Facebook to YouTube, or you can just Google boxing, and they watch this and they think that by watching this they can become a world champion. Right. And that's very unfortunate. Right. But what I would tell any parent is take the time with your children to educate them, and then also incorporate other things that will help stimulate them physically, like sports, and of course, things that can stimulate them music-wise, art. Um, you know, if you can, travel with your kids to expose them to different places, different people. And if they're successful in a sport, or they're successful in the music, or they're successful in art, or anything that they're good at, you know, get behind them and support them 1,000%, and take it as far as you can take it. But first and foremost is to introduce them to all of these things and give them the opportunities that a lot of us as parents may not have had.
Right, right. That's a very good advice, and thank you for advising us, including myself. And it's an advice well taken. Now, looks like we've been talking about. I mean, Shawn, I think we need to throw some lights on yourself. How was growing up for you like?
Growing up for me?
Yeah, how was growing up for you like?
Growing up for me, personally,
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
Yeah. So I was raised in the inner city of Cleveland, and we're talking about the 70s and 80s, and we're talking about a rough time in terms of things that were going on around us. Not a lot of positive activities, and so sports were some of the positive activities that I was allowed to be involved in. And since I excelled in sports, it helped me to stay away from the negativity of the streets. So I grew up in a rough neighborhood with a lot of rough people, but I, I ventured toward the sports, and the sports is what kept me out of the the drug scene, the alcohol scene, the gang scene. I didn't become a part of any of that, and I'm thankful to God and sports for that. You know, the coaches that I had made a big influence on me.
Right, right. Now, looking at your time, I mean, the 70s, the 80s, like you just said, and I'm sure you were also, during the time when you were also an amateur boxer, you are following boxing in your days, I'm sure. Now, looking at your days and now, I mean, boxing, are you happy about how things are now? I mean, comparing to your days?
Am I happy about the landscape of boxing? You mean boxing overall?
Yeah, boxing overall, like how boxing is now as compared to your time.
Yeah. Well, see, here's the thing, and a lot of people claim to be historians of different sports when they're involved in the sports, and or if they are the people who analyze the sport. They claim to be a historian. I can't make that claim. And the reason I know I can't make that claim is because the eyes that I had when I was 12 years old watching Sugar Ray Leonard fight Roberto Duran are totally different from the eyes that I have now when I watch Sugar Ray Leonard fight Duran in a recorded, fight that I'm watching. It's totally different for me. So for me to be able to say how boxing was back then in comparison to how it is now, I really can't. I really can't make that distinction. But what I will say is, with with so many different outlets of social media, everything from Twitter to Instagram to Facebook, YouTube, it's opened up the sport of boxing to so many more people. I mean, just as recent as maybe 2008, when my son turned professional at the end of 2008, all he had was MySpace.
Oh,
that's it.
Okay.
That's it. There was no YouTube. There was no Twitter. There was no Instagram.
Right.
There was no TikTok. All he had was MySpace. And that, compared to now, I mean, it's just grown enormously. And I think that it's great for everyone that's involved with boxing. It's really good for us to have all these different outlets, covering the sport, and it makes it much more accessible to even the people who may not be interested or may not be a boxing fan, that they can, at the touch of your finger, watch a fight and learn something about the sport, and also become a fan of a boxer that they've never seen before.
Right. All right, guys. My guest on the show is Kenny Porter, the father and also the trainer of Shawn Porter. 2 times world champion. Now let's talk about the fact that Shawn has been 2 times world champion. These achievements that he reached, or this goal that he has been able to achieve, what does it mean for you as a father?
What does it mean for me as a father? As a father, just from a standpoint of being proud of your son, that is a great accomplishment, that he's reached the highest heights of his sport, and not only once, but he's done it twice. And he's been successful even in defeat. He's been very successful in some of his losses, where a lot of people will watch the fight and there's a debate about whether he lost the fight or not. So from that standpoint, I'm very proud as a father, as a trainer, to have an athlete that has the ability to perform at the highest level that he has, and not only perform at the highest level, but he won his first world championship, 2013, I believe it was.
Right, 2013.
I'm sorry?
2013, that's right.
Yes. And he's still today in 2020 ranked number 1.
Right.
Mandatory for Terrence Crawford, mandatory for Errol Spence.
Right.
And that's another accomplishment that a lot of guys are not able to do. They're not able to sustain. They may get to the top, but to stay at the top. And he's able to do that, and has been able to do that. And I'm very proud of that fact from the training standpoint of being his trainer.
Right. I mean, you're in a situation that I ask myself, how do you separate from being a father from being a coach?
You don't. You don't. No, I found that out a long time ago. You don't separate it. And most people are going to have their own views about that. Most people are going to come to their own thoughts, and a lot of their thoughts are swayed by the media, by the things that they see on the social media, by the things that they read, the comments that they read. But the greatest coaches, the greatest coaches in this sport, the trainers, they try to build a relationship with the athlete that is like a father and a son. And the closer they are to the boxer, the closer the boxer is to the trainer, and the bond that they have and the belief that they have in each other, that's what helps that fighter to become a world champion. You can't get it any closer than to actually be the father of the world champion. So I get to not only at the end of the day win the world championship, but I also get to go home with my son.
Right.
I also get to have the relationship that far exceeds any other relationship that anyone else could have. So you never really separate the two. And any young man that I take on to learn under me, so to speak, I try to build that bond with him to the point of closeness that he believes in me no matter what. And that's what we try to accomplish. So you never really separate the two. It's just there's obviously times that you don't want to discuss the fights.
Right.
When we talk about it, there's a place and a time for that. But as far as the closeness of the boxer and the trainer, that's the relationship that you want. And it just so happens that I've been blessed to actually be the father of a fighter who is successful. And I am the trainer and I am the manager. And it revolves around each other from one to the other. We're constantly, entwined here like this at all times. We're just together.
Right. I see behind you some of the titles that you've been able to win, like over the years with your son. That's I'm sure something that you really pride yourself in.
Yeah, there's quite a few over here. There's
Yeah.
a few belts there.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
he has his own house. He actually owns a few properties here in Vegas, but he bought a house that is right across the street from me. So as I look out this window right here, I can actually see his house. And, yeah. So again, another close relationship there. But he's got belts in his house now. I got no more room for any more belts. He's collecting belts over there.
I'm very excited about the bond and the closeness between a father and a son, that has translated to become successful athlete and then a coach. And I think it speaks volumes to many of athletes and trainers out there, on how to be able to come together and have that kind of father and a son, even if the athlete is not yours, how you'll be able to have that kind of bond to be able to achieve successes like the Porter'S have been able to do. In your response, you mentioned one thing, that your son has been able to stay competitive from 2013 up to today, which is something like very envious. It is not easy to athlete maintain that kind of peak or performance, but your son is one of those that have been able to maintain it. And today, if you check on the rankings, he's number one to Terence Crawford and number one to Errol Spence. These fights, which of them are you really looking forward to?
I'd love to have the opportunity to fight Terence Crawford, and I really look forward to, matching up my fighter against Bud Crawford, pound for pound best fighter in the world, and on my list and a lot of the pound for pound lists. I look forward to having the opportunity to rematch Errol Spence. I feel that that's deserving. Shawn deserves a rematch with Errol Spence. It was a great fight of the year in my eyes, and I would love to have that rematch. Beyond that, I haven't looked at any other opportunities or other fighters that I would want to fight. If I had to throw another one out there, maybe Manny Pacquiao, but just for the number one fight, Terence Crawford, number 1A, Errol Spence, those two guys. Yeah, that's. I believe competing against those guys at the highest level at this point in his career. I believe in him having the ability to win, and that solidifies his legacy as a great fighter.
All right, guys. I have some few questions coming in from the viewers. It's a live show, and so viewers get to send in their questions, and I will try as much as possible to respond to them as much as we can. He says, this is coming in from Dennis Tego of Radio Guy Online. He says, please ask him what he thinks went wrong in the fight against Spence.
Was the question, what do I think went wrong?
Yeah, in the fight against Spence, the Spence fight.
I don't necessarily think anything went wrong. Obviously, Errol Spence landed a great punch on Shawn. It was right when he needed it. It was right where he needed it to be. But as far as anything going wrong, did Shawn get knocked out? No, he did. Did he get laid out on the canvas? No, he did not. His hand touched the canvas, and his glove touched the canvas. And he slammed his gloves together, and he said, "Come on, let's go." So, not to say that we fought a perfect fight, because we didn't. Obviously, he caught us with that punch, but that's the only downside to it. But again, most guys that Arrow would catch with that punch, the night is over with for them. Right. And it wasn't over with for us, and not only was it not over with, but Shawn fought back even harder after that.
Right. The welterweight division is looking like I mean, it has always been one of the most favorite divisions in the sport. And looking at the talents that we have in India now, amazing. We have Shawn Porter, Errol Spence, Terence Crawford, Kell Brooks, Keith Thurman, Manny Pacquiao, all these guys like competing in this division, like amazing fighters. I mean, classic. Anytime that any of them mounts the ring, the world wakes up, no matter the time. For us in Africa, we stay up very late, maybe midnight, to be able to catch some of these guys fight. I mean, when you go into the ring, or you take a walk from the dressing room, and you take you start doing the ring walk into the ring. I mean, for you and your son, what goes through your mind?
There's always something different. There's always something different. I remember the Keith Thurman fight. As we were walking to the ring, we were getting booed. And we had never been booed before, never in the amateur system, never in national competition. We've gone to other countries and fought guys in other countries. The other countries never booed us. Wow. It is the first time we ever gotten booed. And I smiled, and I looked at Shawn, and I said, "You hear that?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "They're booing." He said, "Yeah, I hear it." I said, "Let's go get them." So when I say to you, it's never the same thing. There's always something that's motivating me, and depending upon what's going on at that time, there's different thoughts going through my mind. In the Ugas fight,
right? Ugas fight, right?
As we're actually going through the tunnel to the ring, is when I decided the game plan, a strategy for the fight. And I looked at Shawn, and I told him, I said, "God spoke to me today, and this is what he told me to tell you." And so that's incredible, because I honestly felt that God spoke to me earlier in the day, and he told me to tell Shawn what to do, but I wasn't allowed to tell him until we were walking through the tunnel.
Wow.
As we were, warming up and everything, he said, "Hey, you said God told you something. What are you going to tell me?" And I said, "No, I can't tell you yet." Until we were walking through the tunnel. In the Errol Spence fight,
right,
walking through the tunnel, there was nothing going on at all. Nothing that stood out. Nothing that stayed with me at all. It was silent to me.
Okay.
And I'd have to ask Shawn how he felt about it. But to me, it was silent. Like, I couldn't hear anything. I was locked into Shawn, totally focused. We went up the ring, and we gave it 1,000%. And the decision didn't go our way, but as I would, say that this is a part of boxing, and my kid was safe. He wasn't hurt. He wasn't injured, and so after the fight was over with, he didn't have to be attended to by any doctors or anything. And that's the most important thing, that he was healthy. But it's always different when I go to the ring, especially when I go to the ring with him. It's always different. Right. It's always different. And those are some of the things that stand out in my mind. Those are three.
Wow. When I was trying to have you on the show, I mean, today we were texting, and you said something like, "I'm truly humbled and appreciative that he chose me. I'm talking about God chose me. And on the
Yeah.
show, I realized how passionate and how you love God. Tell us
Yes.
what God has done for you, my brother.
I mean, it's amazing to be here, to be on this phone, on this video conference call, talking to you, and you're in Africa, and I'm in Las Vegas, Nevada. It's
Right,
amazing for me to just be in Las Vegas, Nevada,
right,
because of where I come from, where I was born, where I was raised in Cleveland, Ohio. I could never dream about visiting Las Vegas, Nevada, let alone one day living here.
wow,
I could never dream as a child about talking to someone in Africa, but
right,
I've actually had a chance to go to Africa, you know.
wow, wow,
So these are some of the unbelievable blessings that God has blessed me with, the opportunity to meet people from all over the world,
right,
to tell them that, you know, I'm I'm saved, and God saved my life. And if it wasn't for my belief and my faith in God, and having a praying grandmother, and having other people that prayed for me and tried to lead me in the right direction towards God, if it wasn't for that, I don't I don't know, you know, I wouldn't be here on this conference call with you.
right,
So I'm thankful, I'm humbled, I'm appreciative that God chose me to live this life,
right.
and I live the life I love. I love the life I live. God's blessed me, and I have to bless others. It's just what I have to do. I have to bless someone else.
Right, right. I saw this video of you and your son.
Good, whoa, good.
Over here.
Yeah, I saw you trying to get in with Shawn yourself. I was like, yeah, how is it like? I mean, getting in some rounds with your son.
It was funny the first time we did it. You know, when it was because of the pandemic, we didn't want to take any chances of
Okay.
bringing anyone in. We didn't know if other people were safe. We didn't know how other boxers were taking care of themselves, and
Mm.
so, you know, I train year round. There's no season for me for training. I live this way all the time. So I'm
Wow.
always working out. And so I said to Shawn, I said, we're gonna start sparring. He said, we got who we sparring with? I said, we sparring with me, you know. And it was funny because this is the first time I sparred with him in about 10 years.
Wow, that's a long
Yeah.
time.
I hadn't sparred with him since like 2010.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's been a while. And we were sparring, and I remember during the first round of the sparring session, I just put my hand out like this, and I said, "Stop, wait, just wait." And I was laughing. I was laughing, and he said, "Why?" I said, "Because this is like Mike Tyson Punch Out. All I'm seeing is these punches coming. This is all I'm seeing. It was like I was in a video game. This is all I was seeing, and I thought it was hilarious. It made me laugh because this is all I was seeing. You know,
Right,
it was
right,
like it was in a video game, and I said, "Wait a minute, just stop," because I couldn't stop laughing. So I had to get my composure
right.
together to be able to box, not
Mm.
because I hurt, because it was absolutely hilarious to me how fast his punches were coming at my
Wow,
face.
wow,
Me.
wow.
So he said, "Wait a minute, hold up, stop." Now, if you can imagine, none of his opponents get that opportunity to just say, "Wait a minute, stop." But at least he loves me enough that he stopped, because I said, "Wait a
Right, right,
minute, just hold up, wait a minute, hold up."
right, right, right. I hope you didn't get hurt in while
No,
sparring.
no, we sparred for about 3 weeks
Wow. That's,
until, yeah, for about 3 weeks until myself and my other coach, Larry Wade, we figured out protocols of, you know, how to make sure that we were safe and bringing in other fighters and
Mhm.
keeping the area that we were training in clean and disinfectant. We just played it real careful, and then we started bringing in people very slowly and making sure that they followed our protocols, and it worked out really good for us. But he graduated, so to speak, from me on to better sparring partners.
Right.
And, I don't know if I could have hung out with him another week anyway. So I had to get back to being a trainer. It was safer, much safer.
Nice. Your kid fights, like I said, your kid finds himself in the division, which is very competitive. I'm sure you saw the fight of Terence Crawford, and you also saw Spencer's fight. What's your assessment of the performance of these two guys?
The Terence Crawford performance, no surprises there from Terence. I expected him to do exactly what he did, and he was successful. I don't think we got the best version of Kell Brook that we have previously seen, but not to take anything away from Terence. Terence went in there and he totally dominated, and he got the stoppage, and he looked good doing it. To go over to the Errol Spence versus Garcia fight, I thought that Errol, had some questions to be answered because he's coming back from a serious car accident, and feel that he answered a lot of those questions. I feel that he put on a great performance that night. He was very dominant with his jab. He controlled the fight with his jab, and I don't think he showed much ring rust, if any at all. I think he looked really good in that fight against Danny Garcia. Moving forward, give us that opportunity, and we will, find out, what's really going on, how much anything has affected him, the layoff or, the car situation that he was in. Also, is guaranteed on my behalf and guaranteed on Shawn's. I believe Shawn as well, that Terence Crawford will not have the success that he had with one punch against us. No, he's not going to have that. He's not going to have that. Terence is a great fighter. Errol is a great fighter. Eventually, I would love to see both of those guys fight, but before they do, they got to see us.
Right. Before you do, you got to see the Porter'S. This is coming from Porter.
Yeah, you got to see. We're mandatory, and they just need to, make it right in terms of what we're fighting for. We can't just do it just because we're mandatory. And I heard some things coming from Bob Arum that really sound like, he's saying things like he won't even be involved with the purse bid. He'll just let us make the bid. Well, that's not good for business. That's not good for business, But if they want to do good business, you'll have a great fight. That's our motivation, to have a great fight and give the world a great fight. Listen, I don't mean to cut you guys off, but I got to get to training.
Okay.
And I kind of had passed that information along. But if you got a couple of more quick questions, I'll answer them.
Okay.
I got my fighter waiting.
All right. I mean, so I think this will be my last question. I mean, if your son goes into the ring with Terence Crawford like you won, what would be the verdict?
Say that again, please.
If Shawn Porter'S get into the ring with Terence Crawford just like you won it, what would be the verdict?
What would be the verdict?
Yeah.
I believe that Shawn is going to shock the world. I believe that Shawn has the ability to beat the pound for pound best fighter in the world. I'm a very strong believer that different styles create problems for different styles. When people say styles make fights, what they mean is certain styles with another style will create an exciting fight. Shawn has never been in a boring fight. He's going to always be in an exciting fight. And I believe he has the ability to beat Terrence Crawford. Not boxing the way that Terrence boxes, but I believe Shawn has the ability to make Terrence have to fight the way that Shawn fights. And that's very hard for most people to do. I think that I believe that we can win that fight. We just want the opportunity.
And before you go to, Terrence made a statement that he'll be coming down to 135. In fact, he tweeted this, he posted it as a tweet that he'll be coming down to 135. In your opinion, do you think it is because he's scared to fight Shawn Porter'S?
No, I don't think that at all. I think sometimes guys put up these different tweets to get reactions, to get people to comment on it, to get people to repost the tweet and things like that, to get so much attention from it. I don't believe that kid is going to be moving to that weight class or anything like that. But if he does, we won't be following him because we can't go any lower than we're going. If it happens that we don't, get that opportunity, I think that's a disservice to boxing and boxing fans. They deserve these type of super fight, and that's a super fight. Errol Spence and Shawn Porter was a super fight.
Right.
And I've told this to Shawn before. One of the four greatest fighters that I ever watched, Sugar Ray Leonard, Marvin Hagler, Tommy Hearns, and Roberto Duran all fought each other, and they made each other great. And so a Shawn Porter, an Errol Spence, a Keith Thurman, a Danny Garcia, or a Keith Thurman and a Bud Crawford, all those guys need to fight each other to make each other great.
Right.
And then that will solidify this era as that those guys solidified their era in the early 80s. These guys will make each other great by fighting each other. And Shawn, I believe, is on the right track. He's only got one or two more guys to fight. And yes, we want victories, but we also just need the opportunity to fight him.
Mr. Kenny Porter, thank you for your time. Before you go, your last words before we let you go.
You guys can follow me on Instagram, Porter High Performance, which is Porter HY Performance. The only thing I post up is Shawn's training and things of that nature. I don't really, post anything about myself, Porter High Performance. You can also follow Shawn at Showtime Shawn P on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. And then he's also now has the Porter'S podcast. Yeah. And that's on YouTube, and it's also on Instagram, Porter'S Podcast.
Right. Thank you, Kenny Porter, coming on our show. We really appreciate your time, and God bless you.
Thank you. God bless you guys. Bye.
Thank you. All right, guys. My guest on the show was Kenny Porter, the father and the trainer of Shawn Porter. We've heard a lot of things that he said. His kid is ready to face up Terrence Crawford. He just wants the opportunity so that they'll be able to show the world how great that his son is. It's been great talking to Mr. Kenny Porter. We'll be back here tomorrow, God willing, with another guest. And of course, there are some events happening around the world that 3 Ghanaians are involved, including Issa Samir, Emmanuel Danso, and then Abraham Tabo. We'll try our best to reach out and see whether we can be able to speak to them before they fight tomorrow, or we might even talk to them after the fight. There's also another event in Ghana on Thursday night, promoted by Fight Ready Promotions. It features some of the finest boxers in Ghana, including Jacob Dixon. They'll be back fighting on Thursday. Tomorrow will be the weigh-in at the Bronx Boxing Gym. Hopefully, we will get Carl Loco on the show to talk to him before the bell goes for the main event on Thursdays. We're still trying to also get in contact with Ace Power Promotions CEO. We'll have him also on the show tomorrow, where we're going to talk about the event that they have on 24th of December at the Buko Boxing Arena, which will be streamed live on Kboxtv. So keep your eyes on Kboxtv. We're trying our best to bring you the best as far as world boxing is concerned, and we're also trying to link up with some of the top people in boxing, and hopefully we'll be able to get them on Kboxtv to have an interaction with you. What we play with you is kindly tell a friend to tell another friend to subscribe to our YouTube, and yourself, if you haven't subscribed to it, please just go on YouTube, type Kboxtv, KBOXTV, and then subscribe to our channel. I want to say a very big thank you to Robert for helping us reach some of these top athletes, boxers, and then trainers in the US. I want to say a very big thank you to you. We appreciate your time. And unfortunately, we couldn't get you on the show, but we really appreciate your time for always getting us in contact with some of these people who are out there. Also, want to say a very big thank you to Dennis Dodd, one of our partners in Ghana, always making sure that things are happening right, well, the way it's supposed to be in Ghana. Big shout out to the few people that were able to comment, including Dennis Stable, Sule A, and then Nini Danso, and then Sweni Olugani. Saying Crawford versus Porter'S next. I think that is what he wishes to happen. And he's from Nini. He's saying that try to interview Issa Samir on tomorrow's bout. I'll try my best to get him on the show before or after. I'll reach out to his trainer. They are both in Kazakhstan. I'll see. I'll try and reach out to see whether they'll be able to come on the show. But overall, big thank you to you for tuning in to watch us. We really appreciate your time. You are the reason why we keep doing what we do and bringing you nothing but the best of boxing. So until tomorrow, where we get to speak with the CEO of Ace Power Promotions to get to find out about the events happening in Ghana on 24th of December. Have a very good night. And when you say a prayer for yourself, make sure you say one for us too. Really appreciate your time. Have a very good evening.